Hey everybody, we're back. I know I promised to do more of this sooner than today, but things got in the way. But we are back with more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let me go ahead and show you what the new thingamajig looks like. Pretty much the intro screen is right where we left off. We had followed up on the mysterious explosion that seemed to have killed a equally mysterious industrialist. And we had run into Gina, and that's when I decided to give up. Because for some reason, even with the text on the screen giving me a nice clue on how to sound out the words, I can't do a goddamn Cockney accent consistently. But anyway, let's go ahead and load this game and pick up right where we left off. Alright, Gina, what happened to you? It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving wasn't working out. I forgot Iris was wearing this. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Jenny! Well done! So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it! Good, isn't it? Inspector Lestrade! Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces round the world to pull up all the stops looking for him. Just a small promise then, nothing serious. Oh, Jenny, you're so sweet! So anyway, that's how it come to go. I had to go a test for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem, nothing serious. I can barely read English. And that's when Early approached Gregson and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility for Jenny and made her a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous of Inspector Gregson and brave. Well, you know, Early, he enjoys signing for anyone with fight for temperature. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So the long and short of it is, if you got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Oh, what, Runo, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is still. Come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called. Oh, you don't have to worry, Otto. If I didn't half worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, isn't it? The Reaper's kinda like him upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside, that I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong might be stretching the point. What about Mr. Natsumi in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly! So I ain't worried, I'm totally fine! Yeah, I know her voice is deeper, because if I try to do a girl accent on top of a Cockney accent, it gets even worse. So about yesterday. Core was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started blowing smoke. Did it just went pop? It ain't seen a better experiment yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Jenny, with your own eyes? Yeah, of course, the boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of course, of keeping everything running smooth, I mean. The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose? That's gonna take some getting used to. So all I have to say is I'm Dooney, I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened. Watched it all from above. No, you're so lucky, Jenny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You had no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No, you can't join Scotland Yard, Iris. We'll see. Anyway, I don't understand this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Ah, right. Well, it was a success, in a way. It was? How can it have been? Surely after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and a whopping big bang. But where'd you think they found the victim bodies, eh? In the Crystal Tower over there! What? In the tower? Well, that explains the hole. You can see for yourself, can't you, up there on the scaffold? Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage got what the victim... Yeah, the cage what the victim got in to start with. Really did beam through the air or whatever and landed way over there. So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off you before. That's so fair. Yeah, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. Yeah, he said that, didn't he? Yes, naughty old Gregs, he ran off after that without explaining himself. Alright, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call him again? The forensic investigation team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, ain't it? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate. Yes, I've never heard anything like that before. I thought I could have a gander in the quiet though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard me giving an earful about before from down there, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair! I think you were giving him as much of an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, Otto. Go on, see if you can get through him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where the machine that exploded is. We can try, can't we, Runo? Regsy will listen to us. Okay, good. Done talking to you. Oh, it looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just here. In front of the tree. Dropped or hid. Bad hiding place. What is this? Some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe it could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps. What's going on here? Oh, nothing. I think I'll just hang on to this just in case. Great way to screw over your friends, Naruto. And then what's this?
Oh look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth!
It's not like any fabric I've ever seen before. It's very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable.
It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing. And the edges appear to be a bit charred as well.
Maybe that means it had something to do with the explosion.
Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn.
Alright, let's check out that hole in the tower.
That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course.
Oh, wait, no, that's Gina. For some reason, I thought that was Iris. I'm not doing it again. And yet they're calling the experiment a success?
What's the wooden scaffold there for?
The coppers, our lads, set up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. Don't know, really. Didn't you help to erect the scaffold, then?
Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the fun stuff.
Mind Gregson doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? Alright, anything else? So wait, the scaffold's different? Alright. The Crystal Tower. Certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition. And it definitely is, being so tall with all that glass. I can't imagine building something like that, a building like this ever being erected in Japan.
There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, but there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I already had to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors.
Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment will be the biggest draw.
And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut.
Suddenly it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Shower.
Apparently everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now.
Londoners must be very patient people. No comment. Alright, anything else? Yeah, we got the Crystal Tower. Okay, we got the stage here. Oh, more stuff. For some reason, the ground is damaged in this spot. Look. Almost as if there was a fire here or something.
Yes, if you look closely, there's some scattered ash and burnt embers, too.
Well, I suppose there was a bit of explosion just above here. People probably wouldn't bat an eyelid at a small fire like this would have been.
I'm not sure we English are quite that laid back, Runo.
This platform must have been set up for the experiment, I suppose. It's very high up.
About 30 feet above the ground, apparently. That's what a policeman I just spoke to said.
I don't really understand feet very well. Just, we don't use them in Japan.
You don't line up your feet to check how long or tall things are? Oh yes, so it's about 9 meters. But soon you'll have been in London a year, Runo. It's time you got used to our measurements.
Yes, well, this thing is so tall, the spectators at front would just have seen a wall and nothing else.
They probably thought they'd secured the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed.
There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel like it probably applies here. Alright, can we move? Actually, you know what? As much as I don't want to give Gina any more reason to speak, does she have anything to say about this? Gina, would you take a look at Oh, where did it go?
Looking at this auto?
When did she do that?
I wonder if you got anything else to show me, eh? What'd you reckon?
Get that back first, please. Okay, so, nope. Can I just move? Can I then just go upstairs then? Okay. Oh. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. And then we did. So that's it, is it? The machine that blew up.
Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion and I've seen my fair share.
You've seen things like this before, you mean?
Of course, Early's always doing experiments that ended in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry.
Ah, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs.
One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it, Runo.
It's hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof.
Well, anyway, that's enough about that. It's time to investigate.
Ah, look, Inspector Gregson is over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully.
Really? He just looks confused to me.
It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it?
Magnificently and mercilessly.
So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air.
Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point.
Yes, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris?
Oh, Runo, I'm just a child. How should I know?
A child when it suits you, you mean?
From what I can tell, I think if we were to pull this lever here...
Stop! Don't touch that!
That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over here just now, Gregson.
Please, your ladyship, I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here.
So sorry, you can have some of my latest special blend to make you up for it.
Oh, wonderful. This stuff is really wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Harebrain in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Ha! Listen, Sunshine, I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that special dispensation. Professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes.
But we're allowed to just look, aren't we?
Eh?
Surely that's alright, isn't it, Gregsy?
Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship. But please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you?
Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Runo?
She really knows how to get what she wants. Excuse me? I'm gonna touch it. Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think.
Touch anything and I'll make sure I'll kill you before I get strung up myself, you hear?
I wouldn't touch a thing, I promise. So please, spare a thought for your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims?
He asked, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we?
Because of the annoying rules, you mean?
Exactly! The annoying, obstructing, flaming rules!
Oh. Look at the base of the machine there.
Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh.
It's a screwdriver, I think.
Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of the letter A.
It is? Oh, you're right.
What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said! Touch anything and make sure I cue before I get strung up myself, I said. Yeah.
Yes, I understand. Sorry, I only touched a teeny weeny bit.
But Gregsy, I'm very curious about this screwdriver. Really very, very curious.
Of course, your ladyship. You're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it.
But Runo found it first.
I assure you, I'll investigate it thoroughly.
He's gone off with it.
That was very mean, I'm afraid. Inspector Gregson is gonna make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in next month's installment now.
Poor Gregsy. Hold on. It's not funny, but I do like how this looks. So, that's one for the maybe thumbnail bank. There are all sorts of strange buildings here in the great exhibition grounds, aren't there? I seem to remember something similar being exhibited in Japan one time.
Oh, in your country, Runo, I do wish I could go see it. I'd present a particularly stealing a samurai with a present of one of early stories I'd written specially. And see if I could get early into a jam and see if I couldn't get early into a jam against some Baritsu Master ninjas.
You might not find as many of those sorts of people around as you might think.
Oh, well that's dull.
Oh, but I do know a prosecutor with a Komagi top knot I could introduce you to.
A Kamaji? Really? Do you think I could have my picture taken with him, do you?
Assuming he's recovered from the trim Kazuma gave him a year ago, yes. Alright, well, not much else to look at here. Hey, Gregsy! Since you haven't run off yet, using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body, and then beam him across to the Crystal Tower, it's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public.
True. It was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind.
To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous, so many spectators present, I mean.
The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the thoughts about a public safety infringement. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful in the future, you see?
Yes, I suppose that's true in a way.
So the powers that be are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment.
What sort of rights?
Oh, she had a very blank face there.
They're making it so any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into a practical idea, and even going into production. which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new highfalutin Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it.
Ah, I see now.
The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. Fit! We're throwing a fit! We're keeping it relegated to keep it. We're being relegated to keeping guard.
The Forensic Investigation Team.
Any old fool can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with. But just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it.
Poor Gregsy, he's very head up, isn't he?
Remind me again, what's this new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here?
Are you having me at, Sunshine? It's the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. SUDC.
Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently. It's with a real twinkle in his eyes, I remember.
I don't know why Iris has gone Southern Belle, but here we are.
I'm sure he did, your ladyship. I'm sure he did. Paris especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service, and it gets rubber stamped, and that's a guarantee of rights to remain the invention's confidentiality.
What does that really mean?
Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me. Put forward by shammers like yourself.
Thanks for that.
Oh, I love how some...
Why?
Bruno! Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's all so fun.
It might be fun to you, but a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine, eh? Hang signs, that's what I say.
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't know why. It feels like I just lost the Iris voice.
Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job.
You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions.
But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point.
Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly.
Sorry?
Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is indeed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant.
The scientists get funding?
Exactly. And that's what they're all after. All these shammers coming so far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has to keep them all safe, huh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science! Hang it! Hang it!
Oh, maybe I can't see your point.
Apparently Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now, conducting his research.
That's right. Came to Britain especially for the Great Exhibition, as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants.
Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today. About his time in further education. Turns out he was at university with someone we both know. Lord Van Zykes.
And what's that? That's news to me! But if Van Zykes mans the prosecution, then does he accuse the professor's fate is...
Sealed? Because the Reaper will get him one way or another?
Blimey, that man's beyond me. Don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zykes, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that?
Oh, yes. But Mr. Reaper's completely fine. Nothing to worry about.
Yes, right. Glad to hear it. Still the Reaper, huh? How long that's business been gonna keep up, I wonder.
The victim of this case, the inventor, Mr. Asmund, the investor. He was another one of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard.
Lord Barrow Van Zuyts is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win.
Yes, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it?
Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zuyts initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands, and if he failed to seal the deal in court.
Although the man himself denies that charge.
Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zuyts is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. Inside, maybe. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would.
But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't have just coincidentally died if nobody killed them.
I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper.
Professor Harebrain mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zuyts was a totally different person, easygoing and kind.
You what?
He said that it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was?
No clue.
Really?
Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make a nuisance of yourself elsewhere, eh? Right, are you done here, Mr. Naruto?
Sorry?
Isn't it about time you were leaving? Or rather, it is about time you were leaving. That law here now.
That law?
The forensic investigation team. They'll be giving me the heave-ho in a minute, too.
Oh dear, poor Gregsy. Hey, have another cup of my special blend to cheer you up.
Oh, that hit the spot. Yep, hits it every time.
Well, at least we've seen this scene with my own eyes. Looks like this is as far as we're going to get with our investigations here, at least.
I've been thinking. Early might know something, mightn't he?
About what?
About Mr. Reaper.
About what happened to Lord Van Zuyts, you mean? Yeah, it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe. But I have no idea where to find Mr. Shomles at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he?
Here, this is what you need.
What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tussauds? Is that supposed to mean something to me?
You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction at London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like.
No, we don't have time for visiting attractions today, Iris. We have the big trial tomorrow.
But that's where Early is.
What? At this popular London attraction?
Yes.
How is it that you know where he is?
Early told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you, Runo.
Madame Tussauds. Or is it two spells? I don't see how it could relate to the case we're investigating here, but then, stranger things have happened. And when they happen, Mr. Shomles is usually at the heart of them. Bye! Ooh, a museum of waxworks. What is this place? Look at all these terrifying scenes, but why are all the people so still? Guillotines? Ruthless murderers? I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight.
They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? What do you think, Bruno? Shot?
Wax models? Ah! I read about dead bodies and wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. It's called adipose.
Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, a disappearing doesn't form.
Ah!
What now?
I've just remembered something else I read in another magazine about strange phenomena. There was an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over her corpses and put them on display.
None of these exhibits here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas.
They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them. They look exactly like anime characters. They look like us.
Oh!
There's no way anybody could make models of people that are this realistic. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Wait.
What is it?
Oh, no. I must be seeing things. Okay, well, hold on. I know we have someone over here, but what the hell's going on here? Is this an arm?
It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxworks models is falling over.
You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you?
Bruno! Stop scaring me!
Is it a wax arm? Or a real one?
Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm now and see how it feels.
Objection! I guess that's all we have to do. Alright, Shomles, what the fuck? It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Shomles! Mr. Shomles has his own wax statue in here? Really?
Well, he is world famous after all.
It's an uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it.
I know! But look, Bruno, you can kick this early and he doesn't move a muscle.
You can't go around kicking the exhibits, Iris! Yeah. I was wondering if they were going to make him react to it. That's fun. Wait. It just moved, I'm sure. And not just a little bit either.
Really? Did it?
And look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. Shall we move on, Iris? Over here, look! It's the great murder scene to enjoy. Much more appealing.
Hold it!
My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner, as if you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Shomles. I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Naruhodo. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick! Did you not exercise a little more restraint? You winded me!
But Bruno has something he needs to ask you.
Ah, question?
And I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are!
Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes before being... A mere 2 minutes before... Oh my god. A mere 2 minutes more being stationary like that. And my great brain, upon which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed. In many ways, the pair of you have just saved the world from an unimaginable loss.
Oh, Holy, you do talk nonsense, don't you?
He could know something that's true about Lord Van Zykes and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For you're in luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something... Oh, and if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot in the walls of this very museum. A most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that it is related to the matter of which you have come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow. But for now, I must return to my work. What, back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? Bye. What is this place? Madame Tussauds came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tussauds family, they say. They are renowned during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims in the guillotine. Ugh, that sounds grim. The gruesome scenes were portrayed in such realism that the expressions of the faces were of the condemned.
Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses right there at the site of the executions.
This really turns my stomach. That's just one of the several legends about it. Legends about the Tussauds family. Whether there's any truth to it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular of the museum is by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the Great Exhibition, but people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows. So they're even stiffer now than the models of them. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So the hideous exhibits in here are...
They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place.
Is it just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Yeah, so about that. What do you mean by temporary waxwork, Mr. Shomles? Exactly what you see! I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them? Every half hour I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'll happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Shomles? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! You really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the ravenous Iris to consider.
Oh, holy! I'm so hungry!
If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you for your bit, Mr. Naruhodo. What's he threatening to rope me into now? So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours! Maybe some other time. Remember, Mr. Naruhodo, ignore me at your peril! Back to being a waxwork again. Is it just me, or did his final remark there sound a lot like a curse? Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zykes. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust? And so I filled Mr. Shomles in about everything I'd learnt. About Lord Van Zykes, about Professor Hairbrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zykes such a different person. I was sure that you know, Early! You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot. And you believe it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Mr. Shomles, he suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems you've reached the unavoidable... Greetings. Oh, hello. Where did she appear from? And what's she wearing? Does she look any more mysterious? I hope you're appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Shomles, do you know this? Not again! My apologies. I'm Esmeralda Tussauds. This is my museum of waxwork. What? You're the Madame Tussauds? Bien, sir. Though only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? I'm a madam in name only. That's a certain je ne sais quoi. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular. Probably Mr. Shomles, then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, we'll be toil and trouble.
She sounds deadly serious.
That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Shomles about Lord Van Zykes now?
Let's not forget what Early said before. Something about being afoot right here in the museum, I mean.
Yes, I know, but...
I'm so curious. I want to know what's happening here.
Haven't we got enough on our plate already? I really don't care about your waxworks. How about, what are you doing with Shomles? What's the situation with that?
Ah, my temporary waxwork model? He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal.
Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these Sparks exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective!
Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Shomles is widely known in London as a talented detective.
Watch this accent just come and go. It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it.
Yes, the creme de la creme.
so I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we are unable to agree terms. Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services? For a mere 500 pounds, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment! Or words to that effect. Mr. Shomles might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. A mere 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning. I have a 50-shilling. Or words to that effect.
It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem.
Is the consulting detective work not going so well? So what's afoot? I wonder, could I ask you something? Bien, sir. I'm just curious. Is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little. Oh, he's disappeared. A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry audit for sale, for trade. Ah! I'm back! There you are! Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working. Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madame Tussauds, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's your ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Duh. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? She's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist on payment in advance. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage in my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. What the hell's going on here? What, pray, is behind this curtain? That is the Tussauds special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special kill, then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder?
Ah, absolutely none. Absolutely none. There is nothing amiss behind there.
Nothing amiss, madam? What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ah! I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens.
Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtain. But only a second.
I'm guessing a lot of the French here. That last one seemed hardest of all. Draw the curtain. What the hell? I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The Tussauds special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Well then perhaps Mr. Shomles, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself? I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman, not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always indistinguishable from real humans. So allow me to present my two conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. Duh! She looks as pale as a candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tussauds, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work! The Great Deduction! Waxwork's fate. To begin with, he's keeping the arm up. We must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some 200 pounds. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tussauds. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by the public notice. Waxwork for sale? Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for a sum of 200 pounds! None! Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Duh. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt with the man in such a shocking blow was, of course, the 200 pounds! But it looks like he could still use 200 pounds to lose! It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for a sum of 200 pounds. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him that what an extraordinary amount he was paying. But the money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer and the special exhibit fetched a killer price. We can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. Waxwork location. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. Such is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards. But... Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. But you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. Or should I go for Madame? I guess Madame sounds better. Anyway, I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is this obvious price tag. threepence? A tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks is... perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks for living cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant 200 pounds! The sort of plucky behavior that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame?
I do not.
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Waxwork location, 2 steps to the right. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Funny. I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Early, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Shomles. Ah, the notorious Narhado 1 point! I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So, that would mean that he's particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Automole. Sorry. It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
And it turned out the culprit was the policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Automole.
You mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there's supposed to be? Indeed! It's a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well! But is 200 pounds a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things in perspective. So, it is quite a lot, then. Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down? That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Shomles did more or less just accuse her to her face, so... I think I might have to call your assistant. Call on your assistants here, Iris. Is that all? If that's all right, to make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's all right. We'll soon set things straight.
Well, let's get started then, shall we?
Before Madame Tussauds vents her anger.
Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tussauds, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Let's do this again now. Yeah, Al Fashion, what exactly is the crime here in Shelm's mind? He just described a business transaction. I think he's trying to get at the point that the madame here has committed fraud. She sold something for an egregious price and caused actual harm to a person. So, yeah, no, it's shaky, but I think that's what he's getting at. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get to the gist. As much as I love the flourishes, I can't do all of that again. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true.
But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for £200.
Oh?
She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything.
For that much money, I would, but it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the £200 could have some other significance.
Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that can explain it.
Well, that looks about right.
What's that note doing pinned on the wall there?
Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tussauds, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for a safe return is £200. Have the money ready by noon on the 23rd of October.
What?
This is... It's just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped.
Yes, it's a ransom note.
Exactly. Well, that explains a lot, so yeah, present that. Yeah, it is a very large pin to the wall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so. We must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness, abducting a waxwork. Duh. £200 is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary, then, the £200 you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. This fat guy on the floor. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. Yeah, we got the banknotes here. £200. So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is?
We could just ask him when he comes around.
I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris.
Yes, you're right. Early's trying so hard we mustn't let him down.
Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tussauds trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Whip, 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 wee, whip, wee, whip, wee, whip, wee. Anyway. Can I zoom out? Wait, what's... There's something on the back of your hand, but I can't get to it. Yeah, no, right there. There we go.
This is just Madame Tussauds' right hand, isn't it?
Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all.
Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look.
Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please.
And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. Look, I'm poking it.
You mean it's made of wax? Well, that seems suspicious enough. Present. What dealt the man such a shocking blow is, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be your right hand, but closer inspection reveals it's a left hand.
Duh!
And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It is the hand of a waxwork model.
Kya!
Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid that I have to teach them a lesson. You confronted the man that tried to take the arm back. And the result? The scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped! Oh, Garrus, thank you for the 57-month sub. How's our night going? It's going fine. We're unraveling the case of the missing waxwork. Alright, let's go ahead and speed this up to the next problem. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. According to Mr. Shomles, the yellow neckerchief is assigned to other policemen that some crime is underway.
A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
Mr. Shomles didn't hesitate to give away.
Well, uncovering secrets is in every true detective's nature, of course.
Right. Anyway, judging from Madame Tussauds' reaction to Mr. Shomles' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Oh, what's this? It's the missing arm. What the? The man has a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be.
Oh, well, that settles that then.
Right, this isn't a real person at all.
His entire arm's been ripped off from shoulder down.
His arm's been... Of course, that ties in with what we just found out. For that... Put that back, madam. Even though... Wait a minute, was I just completely misreading the color of the arm when she brought it out? I could have sworn the jacket was a darker color. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth, of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Shomles. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally! What other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turned our attention to the old man sat before him, and with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were waxwork. Yeah, here we go. We've had this conversation before. A killer policeman called Armo, was it? Was he well known?
It was all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price, though. Threepence isn't much money.
Penance. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special carol taken from the exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds. Is this crusty old killer policeman Ottermole? Really?
Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see if another idea crops up.
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
Shomles, he's clearly moving a muscle. He's moving a lot of them. He's moving the foot muscle, the leg muscle, the upper leg muscle, probably something around the pelvic area. How is this not obvious? Look at this! Oh, look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. He seems to be fast asleep, though. He's not tapping his foot consciously, then? So you mean... It must be a twitch! Right on Twitch! It's a twitch on Twitch! It's a twitch all the way down! It's all just a bunch of twitches! Never mind that. The point is, waxworks don't tap their feet. Or twitch! On Twitch! Look at his arm, too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we? I don't believe it. It's the secret sign that lets other detectives know criminal activity is underway. Yes, it's a slightly strange choice of outfit if he's trying to go unnoticed. Oh, he must be a detective disguised as a policeman. Or a detective disguised as a waxwork model of a policeman. He doesn't look like he's clever enough to think of something like that, though. Perhaps you should try being a little more polite about him, Iris? Alright, I think the twitch is what we're going for, obviously, because he's not waxwork. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it! Well, Madame Dispels? Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come to the first place. He is clearly fatigued if he is found sound asleep. But then, what's this tag showing of a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tab of the muffler, which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And if I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm, does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the secret sign. The secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is currently underway. Of course, because, as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here, as you deduced from the very beginning, detective. So it would seem that we finally arrive at the truth. The waxwork of the waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And the Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Ace Detective! It's not really solved if the conclusion is still a mystery. But, whatever. All sorts of people visiting my museum here, men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in for just a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. I will damage my exhibits myself to stop you. Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I have been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I'm gratified that you have enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display. If it was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically it was.
Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please.
Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work.
The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Okay, bye. Kidding. So the stolen waxwork? Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please.
It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that the waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. Is it your most prominent? It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place.
The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then?
So this waxwork was stolen. It was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose.
And tellers, thank you for the raid.
Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor.
A name I've heard of. So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry?
The Professor case happened around the time I was born, didn't it?
Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Barak van Zykes graduated from university, in fact.
What? Surely he's not saying... So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life!
As you've surmised, it was the Professor case.
Who was the Professor then? It was a series of gruesome murders that had all London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death.
And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction.
But I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zykes?
You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the Professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest.
What do you mean, Early?
Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Ah, wait, of course. What Professor Harebrain said. Barak van Zykes is from a family with noble blood.
Oh gosh!
It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zykes.
No! I don't believe it! Van Zykes?
I'm sure you can piece together the arrest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Barak pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. And the Professor was Nipponese! Dun dun dun! Peeked the mic there, I'm sure that sounded great. I had no idea Lord Van Zykes had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter. For the time being, at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit. Interesting choice for the music to come in there, but alright.
I'm afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well.
Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure, I think. Thank you. Yeah, between Barock and Clint, who had the cooler name in that family, I think Barock managed to get away there. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Oh, wait. Was that a clip? Oh! Well, none of the predicted scenarios I had you coming here. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barrick. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself to what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Tomorrow the court will decide. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident, a terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Barak, are you really... What? Never mind. I know you had my best interest at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barak. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. Hang this man! Okay, we finally hit the much delayed to be continued for this first part of the episode. Man, that took an hour and a half. I dread to think what the next part of the trial is going to take up, so I think I might have to end it here, guys. Sorry for another early stream, but I don't think I can carry any energy into a trial if it stretches for another hour and a half. So there's our natural break. I'm going to go ahead and exploit it. Let's see if I can send you guys off anywhere. Ooh, but first let me go ahead and show you the new outro again. Ta-da! Marvel Poison did a great job on this. I always like looking at it. Alright, let's see. Is anyone else streaming? Oh, even Nick isn't even online yet. Let's see here. I don't think I've ever had us raid him before, but I do sometimes happen upon Scott Falco's channel, and right now he's doing Mario 8 Deluxe. And in light of the news we got from the Nintendo Direct, I'm gonna go ahead and send you guys over there. So I hope everyone has a good night. I will be back tomorrow evening with the continuation of Bart, now the Archmage of the College of Winterhold. So I hope to see you there. But until then, guys, bye!